You are listening to River West Radio on WXR WLP 104.1 FM Milwaukee. Support for this program comes from Collectivo Coffee, dedicated to keeping Milwaukee's bike riding community rolling with bike pumps available for use at all Collectivo cafes. More info is available in cafes and at collectivocoffee.com. Well, welcome to Cinema Fireside, and thank you, listeners, for listening. We'll see if Gabe shows up. Hopefully he does, because he's a mastermind, and he really knows how to keep things rolling. And I've got a full hour here, and without going behind the scenes, we will be tuneless, so that's like some hardcore minutes to roll with. So, Gabe, where are you, my man? Sandy is good enough to assist behind the scenes, make sure that the ship is on course, that it reaches the shores of your enjoyment. So thank you very much, Sandy. And we have Quinn and Sarah Lou in our periphery, very good people. And if you're listening live, it is a beautiful Memorial Day here in Milwaukee and all over the world. We thank all those who have served and given their lives, obviously. A mega thanks. We thank you all, most certainly. And I've been getting good sleep these last days because I was just in New York City and Texas, and prior to that for about 7 days straight. Not good sleep. Maybe waking up at 3 in the morning and thinking, man, well, for whatever reason, I'm not getting back to sleep. So then when we were filming out in Austin, it was like, man, I haven't slept properly for 7 days. We're in the mud and the heat. Not too hot, but hot enough when you haven't slept. So by the time I got back to Milwaukee, man, every evening I've just been voracious in falling asleep. So that's a really, really good thing. And let's see. So, yeah, I just got back from Manhattan. We had a retrospective of films out in Brooklyn. It was sold out, good people. It was a good thing. And most importantly, was getting writing in. And that's always a good thing when you're, you want to be careful when you use words like inspired, because it has no meaning because it's been used so much. So you're just in that moment in the evening, and you're sitting there with the last coffee, and you are, well, here it goes anyway, inspired to write. That's a good thing, definitely. So I'm going to have to probably do some detailed recaps, since I don't see the phone line buzzing. But you know what I tell people? I said, I'm done being shocked. So if this madness has to go on for 56 more minutes, and unfortunately tuneless, so be it. I could look at notes, but I just started a new legal pad, so those are already slim. It's not like, oh man, a ton of notes I can refer to. That's not going to be happening either. So let's just do some extemporaneous craziness for a while, and we'll see if Gabe does call in, but regardless, man, the show must go on. So, fly into Austin. While going on the plane, you may do some resting, and I've been reading the Dennis Hopper interviews book that Jeremy, thank you very much, had given me in Tulsa. And so I've been reading that. It's from Mississippi Press. Great series of interview books. I've got DePalm and Polanski and stuff like that. So this Dennis Hopper book from Tulsa was a great gift, and it's great reading it. I'm almost done with the bio, Dennis Hopper, by Peter Winkler. So that's a good thing. And I've begun reading S.E. Hinton's The Outsider. She's from Tulsa, and it takes place in Tulsa, and it was given to me in Tulsa. And so that's a good thing. So I've been reading that. And let's see what else. I picked up a copy of the Village Voice and Time Out in New York. And it was actually the Obie special covering the Obie's Theater Awards recognition in the Village Voice. So that's been fun reading. I've been taking that around with me. So let's see. The director meets me at the Austin airport, and we get a sandwich, and I probably start writing in my journal and in my yellow legal pad, and we have to wait for a few more actors. So there's laughs and photo taking and so on and so forth, and writing, and then the other actors show up, and we go to baggage and wait for them, and that's great stuff. Joy and talk and photo taking, and in a new city, and then stop at our quarters to put the bags down. Then we go out to eat in a hip new development in Austin. A large group of us, and one of the producers, Jamil, hooks me up continuously with the New York Times, because I get it every Friday and Sunday, and he was kind enough to I got in on Thursday. I think he hooked me up on Thursday. So we go out to eat, go to sleep. Then Friday we go out to the location, and there are warnings of rattlesnakes and scorpions, and just to be aware of it. And then I was driving around. I'm getting my cities mixed up now. Oh yeah, we were going to the location in the morning, and one of the actors really, really, really needed coffee, and amen for that. So we stopped at a Starbucks. And actually, my man is in the new Tom Cruise film, the second Jack Reacher. He's actually in the trailer. There's a restaurant scene, and I think they're messing with Tom Cruise, and he's one of the guys, definitely a very cool, very, very cool guy. And so we stop in Starbucks outside of Austin, which has a very spidery freeway system, very cool, very dreamlike, very surreal. I pick up, someone had given me a Starbucks gift card, and I had $2.52 left on it, and I just got the New York Times with that gift card with 2 cents to spare. And then when I got to the location, Jamil also hooked me up with the New York Times, so I actually am in possession of 2 Friday New York Times now. So if someone desperately needs an extra copy, there definitely is one available. So anyway, so we get to the location, and it's on many acres, and there's coffee there, and there's water there, a bit of craft service, and I don't want to name names because I can't remember the other dude's name, and I want to split the difference equally. And I will say the other dude, I think, is the star of Troll 2 in the Best Worst movie. It's a really, really cool. Both co-leads are really super cool, and it was a good time being with them. And yeah, it rained, and we were really in the mud. And they played the sheriffs, and it was something. And we got through that, and we let's see, I don't know. We stayed at I can't even remember where we stayed at. Some nice multi-room place. Now I see it. And then it was nice that we went to a real Texas diner, man, the real deal with the real Texas folk off a road. It was a gas station diner. Too cool, great stuff. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Sitting there tripping out on all of that, and then back at the place, the guys were hanging out on the front patio in the dark Texas night. I joined them. It was great fun, and then obviously off to Betty Bye, and then for another day of filming, and then to get to the pizza joint the next night, we had to go through all of these Texas back roads. It was really, really, really weird. These gravel roads, or just primordially paved road. So, and I mean, we're talking going for miles and miles in the dark, with deer on either side of the road. And so that was something else. That was a trip, and we got there, and I don't know, did I have like some lemon lime soda or something like that to go along with the pizza? And then it was back off to Betty Bye again, and on the final morning, one of the producers, I'll just be vague like that, I suppose. We just got a delicious fast food breakfast thing, and it was off to the plane. And I remember on one of these trips, there was a real tight connection, and I had to kind of book through O'Hare. I'm always operating with the knowledge that I could miss the connection with these really tight time connections, but I made it back to Milwaukee on that plane. And then in New York, another great time, and writing done, certainly some very inspiring things to write, some repartee created that was certainly worthy, and so that was really something. And then I took the subway to Brooklyn to the screening, where very enthusiastic audience members watched a retrospective of some of my stuff. And I sat in back, as I always do, like I got to have the very back row in the aisle, so I feel like I'm on Pluto, and had a cheeseburger and so on and so forth, and a Coca-Cola, so that was pretty good. And then, Q&A afterward, and just some general socializing. And then, because I'm not a night bird, we got a car back. Instead of taking the subway, instead of walking and subway and all that, just a quick car back. So that was a good thing. And listening to record albums, killer music, we all have our personal choices in that. So probably the first time in a half a century that I actually completely dug what was being played. So that's something, after 50 years, someone actually plays some cool music for my personal taste. We're all different, certainly. So there's no universal truth unless you talk about 2 + 2 = 4. Otherwise it's just, experience and so on and so forth. So from my experience, that's the first time in 50 years, man, I heard anyone put anything good on. So that was mega cool. And yeah, and another thing too, which I appreciated was, I like to be in the moment, and I don't need to go to events. I don't need to go to the circus. I don't care if a clown's standing on his head juggling Red Bulls with his feet. It means zero, because the mind, that's a heck of a thing to indulge in. So I was very good that I didn't have to participate in anything except being in the moment, have this great repartee, roll, and getting some good stuff written down. And it was heaven. It was great. It was on the money, etc., etc., etc. So then get back to Milwaukee, and there was a latte tasting competition that one of my colleagues said, hey, you want to be a judge? And I thought, well, you know what? It starts at an appropriate time in a fun new environment. And the person who picked me up is a really cool dude, really cool person. I like him. And it was just really fun to be around a couple acquaintances that, I'll tell you, man, oppression, like when people talk about anything else but the present moment, I could just feel the biochemistry just sink to the ocean floor, man. And it's like, get me out of here now, man. So these individuals stayed in the present moment, and it was a very fun, refreshing time. And then when we were doing the competition, the latte thing, how they designed that, it was in a new hip area in Walker's Point as well. A second coffee shop that was open. It's a very big one, bar, restaurant. So anyway, I had my script notes with me, so I was actually getting some good stuff while we were doing the contest. So there's always hopefully two things that are productive going on at once, and so that worked well. And just a great reintroduction back to Milwaukee. So that was Thursday night, and then Friday night, of course, one has to go out and procure or Friday has to go out and procure the New York Times. And actually what had happened was I was already home, getting ready to go to sleep. It was like around 9 o'clock or so. I was just sitting on the couch thinking about life, and then all of a sudden, what's missing from this picture? I said, oh man, I got to go and book out and get the paper. So that's what I did, man. When that happens, man, I'm on autopilot. So I booked out into the evening, got that, came home, fell asleep, and then let's see what happened. I think let's say it was Saturday or so. I was taking notes, and there's a short play festival coming up out west. And I'm submitting stuff to that, as I encourage most people. There's no fee. You can submit up to 3 pieces in a very cool location. And Suki, have a very good night. Yeah, and I'm glad you got water, too. That's a key element. Yes, absolutely, to stay hydrated. Very, very key. Suki's got a fashionable summer dress on, looks lovely, and is headed into her evening, man. Take care. Yeah, a great soul with a great show. I think it's Suki's Diner. So there you have it. So yeah, so then I was writing, all of this stuff down, and then just all of a sudden I was ready to roll with the first of the 3 plays, and just started writing on the legal pad back and forth, that circumstantial repartee, and yeah, it was working. And then what I do is I take that and transcribe it onto the laptop. So that's how I work it. So it'll be interesting. I think the festival's I know the festival's at the end of July. So there's plenty of time to write, but each day that time gets narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. So you got to make use of it in the moment. Definitely. I hope everyone is well out there, taking care of themselves. And one of the things that you can do is, no matter what situation you're in, is to slow the minutes down. And that means not getting caught up into anything, is to realize, that you're alive and present and all of that stuff. And that, or you could just stare at the kitchen clock. That works too. And just kind of like watch the slow drone of the second hand. And that will slow time down as well. And it's a good thing, because, man, before you know it, it's over. When you're younger, time goes very, very, very slow, and your life is like this infinite canvas. And then, as the years accumulate, well, then it kind of like speeds up, and every minute gets precious, and you become more concerned in spending those minutes the right way. So, and everybody's got their own thing going on too. So it's like, some people watch TV, some people go around the world, some people do this, some people do that. And one of the things is 99% of the people don't like to be alone, so they try to draw you into their situation. And that can be a big no-no, especially if you're like an introvert. You got your own thing going on. So, and there's friendships, and there's many of them, and it's a huge, wide tapestry. But you have to be, again, cautious who you involve yourself with, because that's where your energies will go. And I write every day, and I'm not going to have that interrupted. I've been around the world in most of the states, and it just means zero to me. It's the big nothing to me. Because I think the true event for me, is designing one's life, and for another, it's going to Paris or Australia, and even far more exotic lands, and that's a great thing too, if that's what you so desire. But the final frontier, obviously, is the interior lands, the mindscape, the soul, spirit, man, that's rocking, man. And you don't need a ticket for that in any way, shape, or form, because you're already there, man. There's no doubt about that, and that will not be taken away by any foolishness, frivolity, folly. It ain't going to happen. So one of my inherent policies, idiosyncratic, is that anyone that sends me anything via the internet, whether it's film clips, music, something to read, it ain't going to happen. The chances of me reading or seeing that is like throwing a snowball in a elephant's trunk at 100 yards. It just ain't going to happen. And I mean, if it's so important to listen to something, I mean, get it to me on album or something like that. Or there's about 8 other billion people you can send it to, and probably that are more interested in checking it out. It's not that I know your work is very important, and so on and so forth. But there's, like Roger Ebert said, hey man, if you give me a film, that's like taking 2 hours of my time, so there you have it. But I will say I did get 2 killer albums, to say the least, and I'm very appreciative of that, because I put it on, it was like, oh my gosh, this is my music, this is truly a blessing, this is truly, truly, truly great stuff, and I am very, very grateful for that, and I'll be listening to that again and again and again and again, so to speak. I had a conversation, I think it was last night or so, with a avid film watcher, and I haven't seen nothing for about a month and a half, really, except for a documentary on Haskell Wexler by his son, and that basically was about it. Yeah, I mean, just time flies. I would much rather read than watch films any day of the week. It's just far more rewarding. So I make sure to get up 6:30 each morning, think about life, start to read, and then get into the unwielding chaos of the day, most certainly. So yeah, if anyone has any hot topics that you can get a hold of me right here, and I just want to, answer this thing right here. Bam, just like that. So yeah, I had just before coming here, I had stopped at a colleague's house a few blocks away for some ribs, baked beans, potato salad, a cupcake, Coca-Cola, all very delicious. So thank you, Kevin, very much. Very delicious, good stuff, and I ate moderately, so the stomach is very, very even keel, because usually, you're undisciplined, you gorge, and it's like, oh man, I'm wiped out, but you get that self-control rolling, and you're just like, man, all right, I'm doing A-okay. So that's totally cool. And let's see, what else have we? Okay, so anyway, yes, I was talking to a colleague on the phone last night. He's an avid film and TV watcher. He reads Stephen King books. So we have mild discussions, because I really stopped talking on the phone. As anyone knows, that I really don't have conversations, because that kills time. I mean, what possibly could be said. So, oh my, we have to talk films. Actually, we don't. We don't have to do anything, but we can. That's for sure. And that's where Gabe would come in, and I don't think that's happening, man. So it's really funny, because of the first show without music. It's without Gabe as well, and there is the potentiality of a ceaseless void, that has to be filled, and all this extemporaneous conduct, must continue, over the minutes, over the airwaves, and so, what is going to be conjured in thought and then voice, consequently. Oh man, I don't know. So who knows? So all I could say is, film-wise, like, Eli, my memory, I want to see, Eli Landau and his wife produced a series of theatrical, cinematic interpretations of theater called the American Film Theater. And if you've listened to the show, you've heard it before. If you haven't, you're hearing it now. But at the risk of serious repetition, I don't know if I should go into it. I know I've read Antonin Artaud's The Theater in Its Double, Peter Hole or Peter Brook, and another essential work on the theater, which is it The Empty Space? I believe. Yeah, my memory's going, man, a little bit. But there's a lot of stuff in it as well. So there you have that. And let's see. Again, I want to thank all the good people in Tulsa, too, for a fine time. That was a trip. We went to one of the TV stations there and did a little thing on television. And then that country chick was on, or stopped in the green room, passed through Sonny Lee in Tulsa. I remember that. And, went out to restaurants, read stuff, got the local paper, worked on notes. So there you have it. It's always great to pick up like the local paper, sometimes even in the airport, the Chicago Tribune, or I don't know if we got the one down in Austin. I know we got like some of the weeklies and so forth, because it's kind of like, it's your marker in history to have these local newspapers, from the day you were there. That's always kind of cool. So always try to do that as well. And that's a great thing. And, make a note of what restaurants you ate at and who you were with and so forth, because all of this will become one huge big blur. So you want to have some sort of record to tell the kids, the grandkids, yourself, etc., etc. I'm kind of sometimes looking at a little bit of text, and so I got to be ambidextrous here by answering them and being on the air and doing this and doing that. Yes. Done. So we were in Manhattan, and it's a very, lively, vital area, nice area. And you can get the Village Voice out on the street. It's free on the corner box or at the shop and so on and so forth. And then you have the lush twilight of the evening. And one of the great things is being with really dynamic people, or at least where there's exchanges that are interesting, that can be written down and worked in. There's nothing like that in the world. Again, instead of being hit with these like oppressive monologues, and it's like, oh man, just get me out of here now. Instead, that there's a humor, intellectual humor. There is adventure. There's intellectual adventure. All of those key elements. That's some great stuff. So that one must search for. So I think that when I did get back to Milwaukee, and we were in that new expansive coffee shop, and with the particular individuals there, I think that worked really, really, really well. That was a good thing, actually. I was with, just use his first name, well, both their first names, Tim and Dan, and you guys were exceptional, man. Dan, I wrote down a couple things, that was pretty fun. Different outlook on life. That was like totally, totally cool on that. I'm thinking about Ray Bradbury too, definitely. And that's great for like the intrigues of summer, the mysterious canvas of the endless, the foliage of the trees, the dark green, and I never was into science fiction, but I will say that I understand. It's all metaphorical. I understand. But there is a romanticism to science fiction in the summer, and so definitely Ray Bradbury will be explored. Philip Dick, I remember reading The Father thing like about 35 years ago or so. In fact, on my own, I took that story and adapted it into a screenplay form, so it's somewhere in the archives. So yeah, we had like some sort of a school book. I can see exactly the cover, and it was kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, exactly. The father thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers are very similar. In fact, if you listen to a number of radio shows, radio dramas, and all of these, and I'm not saying anyone in particular or anything in specific, but so many of these writers and these filmmakers, well, they were listening to radio dramas because that was back in the day and that was on, so that was predominant culturally in their minds because most everyone listened to the radio. So when you're listening to these radio dramas, you realize, like, wait a second, didn't I see this in a film? Didn't I see that in a film? And you begin to realize, like, wittingly or unwittingly, so many different things. I mean, even, again, like I say, whether it's coincidence or what, but it's like, in even just small things. But again, all of these creative types, I'm sure the majority of them were just listening to these radio dramas. And I mean, even I could, from Psycho, like one sister goes to look for the other missing sister. And I'm thinking, wait a second, isn't that Psycho? And so on and so forth. And I mean, you can, for so many films, you can kind of see whether it's coincidence or not, their roots in these thousands of radio dramas that seeped into the conscious of these aesthetic minds, and then they transmorgified into cinematic form, bits and pieces of it. It's really amazing once you latch on to that. It's pretty incredible. So, and then this morning I was reading in, I can't remember the author, the newer John Updike bio, which is exceedingly well written. And I think there's a new story collection, Love in the Dark and Other Stories, and just incredibly well written. And when I don't mean to be hyperbolic, about speech and description, but it is very sensual language, good stuff. And I mean by aesthetically sensual, just really, really good stuff. And also I'm reading The Animators and Universal Harvest. The Animators can be a touchy subject, but it will be gotten through. We'll continue on the journey with that, most certainly. And that's a good thing. And with the Sunday Times, like I say, I take various sections throughout the day, or throughout the morning, because I have that patternistic thing where I can only read in the morning or only read in the evening. That's it. And then during the day, is the hardcore business of business, most certainly. And I think also that I don't really follow the internet or anything like that. I have to usually read it in the paper. So yeah, I just don't read stuff on the internet. Never have, never will. It's like TV. We were a generation raised on the premise that old TV is garbage, and that doesn't necessarily, it'll shock the 98%. It's not true. There's no universal truth. But again, like I say, when you're laying flat on your back, taking your last breath, I guarantee you're not going to be saying, oh man, I wished I watched more TV. So with that in mind, I just decided to put the kibosh on that about 10 years ago. So, and that means period. That doesn't, all of these, you can use various words to describe how something comes up on the screen, but that just ain't going to happen. Sitting around watching screens is boo, boo. Again, that's just a personal vantage point, that's all. Life's too short. But do what you will, man, or do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, Mr. Crowley informs us. So, yeah, do whatever you want, man. It's your life, definitely. There's no right or wrong, unless certainly it is right or wrong. And oranges, bananas, carrots, oatmeal rocks, that's good stuff, man. Stay away from that sugar. That's definitely no good. Take some good walks, breathe. Got to keep your posture good. Your back straight, your chest out, but not only your chest out and your shoulder blades back, but you should also horizontally spread your chest as well. And because ultimately, whatever predominant posture you assume during the day is the mold that your body will form. And then sometime it will happen where you can't get out of it. So always keep a good posture, and then it keeps the spinal fluids moving well too. And you don't have to be a maniac and drink 8 glasses of water a day. I always found that to be suspect because everyone's different. The thirst factor lets you know generally if you need water or not. So again, you're probably doing your kidneys or bladder harm, if you're just slamming water all day. I would not recommend that. Definitely just do what is more or less natural, and be responsible for that, definitely. So it's spring. I think summer will be upon us. Oh, probably in a matter of weeks, end of June. And I had one colleague say he didn't know what people's problems was during summer because they like lose their minds, go bananas. We've got 4 beautiful seasons up here in Wisconsin, and they're certainly all to be cherished. So this mania about summer, again, that's I will not be influenced by it. I love winter as much as I love summer. I may love winter even more so. Who knows, But man, I tell you guys, just everyone listening is at a different age, a different circumstance, a different situation in life. And man, do not let go of your dreams. Do not let them go, man. I mean, if you're going to write or something like that, man, I'd just be writing or just doing whatever it is that you do. And no matter how many years you've wasted or anything, I was just telling someone said maybe looked at those wasted years as conceptual art. And that's one way of looking at it. But I told her it doesn't seem very arty to me. It seems rather tragic. So the tragedy can stop at any second now, any moment. You could just say, hey, what I really want to do with my life is this. And then I'd be doing it, man. And why not? Because soon it'll be too late. So now is the time. In fact, I think it's our culture is kind of freaked out by death. It's obviously the loss of a loved one is definitely tragic and not cool, but I'm talking about dealing with your own mortality. Man, you should be thinking about dying. You should be thinking about who's going to get your casket, because you know what, if you don't think about that stuff, you're going to be like all of a sudden one day slam into a brick wall and never got done what you really wanted to do. So now is the time to think about your death, man. That's great stuff. That's fun stuff, because all of a sudden, man, you come back and what? I'm alive. I have my faculties. I have possibilities and options. Man, this is good stuff. But if you're just like ignorant about this the whole time and just take life for granted, and without acknowledging there's an end to it, hey, man, You got to make sure that this is good stuff, definitely, and only you can do so. So that's that, man, without a doubt. So yeah, we'll when we wrap the show, I'm sure Sandy will come over here, and even though I do this, I think there's some new stuff potentially that has to be done. Get that all wrapped up, and then the brief night ride home through the North Shore, east side and North Shore spectrums, realms of the city, and then some reading, and then just like pass out, to a radio drama on CD at night. And then tomorrow begins a new day, writing and typing and all of that kind of stuff. So that's good, man. And let's see here. Sometimes people write in, make comments, so on and so forth. Someone says that summer is weird. There is a lot of pressure to enjoy yourself, which in many ways is, in fact, the worst. Amen. I could not have said that better. That's an amazing insight. And one of the great highs in life is to be forthright with people while still remaining tactful. And it asserts your identity. It persuades one to keep their own singular momentum in life, their trajectory, going where it needs to go, definitely. And, there's a great book, Whatever Happened to Orson Welles, and it actually predominantly covers the making of The Other Side of the Wind. I think Jim McBride's a filmmaker. Joseph McBride is, unless I got him switched, is an author. And it's a wonderful book on because he's on set. He was there in the early 70s when they were making Wells's The Other Side of the Wind, which I understand may be coming to light pretty soon. And I've seen clips from it, and it's an art film by Wells, which all of his films are actually. If you haven't seen Macbeth or Othello or Chimes at Midnight, his Shakespeare interpretations, they're immensely wonderful. And it's summertime, so we'll be hit with Shakespeare in the Park, which is just wonderful, wonderful experiences, and it's all over the country, and certainly here in Milwaukee, and just fun stuff. So if you haven't been to Shakespeare in the Park, it's a nice cultural gathering, and obviously Shakespeare's words are intoxicating. I think it's part hallucinatory, partly you're set up for it because of the immense prefatory weight of his myth. As with all other mythological figures, it's kind of like this whole magic aura has been kind of like set up for you, as in most things in life. They're basically hallucinatory. It's, they've already been set up for you to feel or react certain ways, and that's just the way it is. So, you can call it the Shakespeare effect or so on and so forth. You can, maybe when you're reading King Lear and it's taking place during the storm and you suddenly feel it, or maybe some parts in Macbeth, or, so on and so forth. I'm actually still have to finish Julius Caesar, because I started it at the Ides of March 15th, and then I went on to reading other things, but it's quite easy to get back to. And I'm actually reading a book, too, called The Shakespeare Wars, which is just kind of it's a pretty involved, complex book, but it's a fun book. And I remember there was a show, Professor Milt Rosenberg down in Chicago. He had a show at night for about 30-some years, and I remember them, discussing Shakespeare, Sherlock Holmes, all of that. I mean, it was a huge variety of subjects, so I'm just picking out two that I'm endeared to, but it was a very, very cozy show, and I know that Rick Cogan now he used to be on in the early mornings on Sunday, and now he's on Sunday evenings, but that's also when radio dramas come through the airways here in Milwaukee as well. So there's some competition on that front, definitely. And Sunday morning is great for radio as well here in Milwaukee from various stations. It's kind of fun to start around 6 in the morning listening to these shows, these haunting shows. So I do 3 different stations on Sunday morning. This has been going on for quite some time, so really cool stuff to listen to. And then what I do is I get the Times and start reading it at a coffee shop, but then I start writing as well. So that's actually was, I think, on Sunday where I started the work on these new plays for this festival. So I think that was Sunday, yeah, while I was reading the paper. And you can kind of, when you're at a coffee shop, you can kind of feel its ebbs and flows, like the rigorous motion of the ocean tides, coming and going, and you can feel an uptick. I've never used that word before. I've been influenced in the voices and the vitality, the exchanges at coffee shops. You can, feel it rise and sustain and diminish and come back up a little bit more and more. So, it's great stuff. Just kind of being aware of that. So it's a wonderful way to start a Sunday morning, most certainly. And then you run into various people. And I actually on Sunday, I was reading the paper, reading the art, starting with the art section, and it takes a while to read it because I read several articles. And then I'm also writing in my legal pad, about life stuff, about focusing, about, conceptualism over patternism. Patternism is just hiding out, because it's not necessarily good habits. It's just kind of like if you get into certain patterns, you avoid exploring or being responsible for territories that need to be actually covered. So that subconsciously sparked something into me to creatively write, because when you're transcribing, just literally adapting what you've written on the legal pad onto the laptop, That's patternism, because there's no creative effort involved whatsoever. But actually creatively writing a script is conceptualism, because it's based on concepts. So that seeped into my subconscious to break out of patternism, go into conceptualism. So I started writing this one of the plays for this festival, and writing and writing and writing, and I could see the dialogue between the people. The repartee was working very well, that it was very, very, very well worth the effort, and going where it needed to go. And then someone appeared where I was writing to amicably chat, and that actually led, I think, to a couple cool bits of dialogue that had zero to do with the play. So I realized when she had split that I got some good stuff, but that I was now off the tracks of the play. But I think I'm in such a point where I can pick right back up, or so. We'll see. And also, I was reading this morning in Larry McMurtry's Hollywood. It's kind of just like skirmishes with his experiences throughout the years in writing for film. And it's a very light book with very short chapters, so you can just pick it up every now and then and indulge in that. And then I was also reading in The Playwright at Work, and this morning, and I'm actually almost finished with that book. I have one, Tony Kushner's interviews, the only one left. I actually ran into Tony Kushner while he was doing, I don't know if it was the first or second Angels in America. It was actually a free performance. He was there, and I think we were at a buffet table or something, and that's before he became, pretty famous. So I hope I have that written down. So it was like Angels in America. I think it may have been the first one, and it was here in Milwaukee, and Tony Kushner was here, and I remember saying some brief exchange, or innocuous exchange, or whatever one does when someone runs up against someone. So that was cool, definitely, to as a memory. And I kind of remember this Italian filmmaker being there as well. I don't know how I remember that, but I know he's a very cool dude, very focused. First name is Danny, and he was there as well, so that was great. And I don't know what I think we just saw some recent play in Whitefish Bay, the Whitefish Bay Players, so that was kind of cool. They kind of do cozies and so on and so forth. Those are always fun to go to. I mean, just like right up the street from where I live, so it's easy just to book there. It's like right in the neighborhood. I mean, you could even walk if need be. And Milwaukee's got obviously a lot of great theaters, and I mean, it's just ongoing, and like film has this particular rhythm when you do screenplays that you have to adhere to, and you can't really break out of it. You can't have a 5-page scene and a 15-page scene. It's just not the way it works. It's kind of like changing, the time signature in music. Well, of course, if you're avant-garde, that can be done, and anything can be done. But when you're working in a systematic template, if you go to go see a film, there is a rhythm, not only a rhythm in a dramatic rhythm, but even between scenes, how it can end with a very loud burst of music and cut to absolute quiet, and then the tension builds up, the music builds up, and so you can literally feel and hear the rhythm of films. So you have to stick with, it's like a 4/4 beat. You just got to keep sticking with it for like 120 minutes. And whereas theater, obviously, it's not, we don't have this chronology of strict scenage, but rather you have acts. So a scene can last for half hour, 45 minutes, even an hour or so, and it's so you can actually expand upon the dialogue, the landscape of dialogue, and explore digressive territories that still have dramatic relevance, but are more expansive in their journey, as opposed to film, which is everything must continually contribute to this singular idea within the scene, and it has to keep informing, just like one idea. Whereas, or as in novels too, you have the ability to digress and explore. So there's different forms of that. So it's all good stuff, definitely all good stuff. And there's many, 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 many great books out there, book sales and so on and so forth, that just all of these worlds. And what they do is they excite the mind, they excite the sensibility. So what they do is trigger your ambitions, your desires, your determination. Because if you're, remember, the subconscious takes in everything, every word, every sight. That's how hey, how did I have these crazy dreams? Well, it's all of this stuff coming in you all the time. And if you don't regulate it, it's just chaos. Think about why some people, no matter how you define success, some people are successful and some are not. The successful people are always remaining focused. Their eye is always on the prize. They don't digress. They don't allow for digressions. Whereas the majority of people just are always victims of the external world, victims of their friends, not corporations of their friends. Corporations that's an abstract, but it's the people closest to you that have the most influence because you want to please them. And everyone has their own particular journey in life. So if you're one of those people that have like this real singular mission, you got to do what Nancy Reagan told you to do in the first place, and just say no. Every day, practice saying no hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. Because when you say no to others, you're always saying yes to yourself. And when you're saying yes to yourself, that means you can always be good to others because you are truly who you should be, that you should be. And then you'll have a better attitude, a better awareness of others, a far more real awareness of others, other than, this artifice, this brief little stuff that ends up meaning nothing, So, hey, it's food for thought, but always double check, never listen to anyone, and certainly never bet the farm because it will be a cold night on the curb, man, So always think for yourself, listen intently, but double check. I'd even advise triple checking the facts. There's no doubt about that, and don't just listen to what anyone says. Just always use it as a starting point. That's about it. And then go out and find your own thing. So definitely. And educate yourself, man. Educate yourself. I know that when I listen to some people, it's, their vocabulary is it's just great. It's intoxicating. It's interesting. It's all of that stuff. And there's a certain level of people that'll get completely offended. Someone used the word like egalitarian, and oh my God, that would offend, some, set of people. Like, well, what does that mean? And another person would know exactly what it means, and another person would say, well, I don't know what it means, but I'm going to find out what it means. So yeah, I know very exciting people that know how to use the language, know how to use their brains. I know some people that are scared to death to live, scared to use words with 3 or 4 syllables in them. It's like, you know what? I'm out of here. That's enough of that, You don't want to ever curb your identity. You never want to sequester your own, journey in this wonderful life. You want to be bold but tactful. You always want to just, I'm telling you, man, it's good stuff. And at your weakest, become your strongest. At your most despairing, become your most enlightened. No doubt about it. Just you got to do it. You just got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. But it's not a fantasy world. It's not smoke and mirrors. You got to build it brick by brick. And it's just like doing the dishes. It's one dish at a time, man. And before you know it, you get it done. But seriously, create your own. If this is your mission to do something with your life, create your own world. Keep a journal. Why wouldn't you keep a record of your own life? Because I guarantee you certainly have a record of all the nonsense that's come into you. I bet you listen to a person, this. It's like, oh my gosh, what does this have to do with your narrative? This is crazy. So what makes you truly happy? Think about that. Invest in that most certainly, and just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Think about who you spend time with, how they're influencing you. Think about how you're spending your time. Are you sitting in front of a screen? Is that getting you your house in Florida? Maybe you don't need a house in Florida. Maybe all you want is to be sitting across a table at twilight with the coffee, with your loved one on the other side, and you're writing your script, getting stuff off her, so on and so forth. Bam. That could be the ultimate heaven of all time. Maybe you don't even have to leave your house. Maybe you don't have to leave your block. Maybe you don't have to leave your city. Maybe you don't have to leave your state. Maybe you do. Who cares? Who knows? It's only up to you. But do what you have to do. It's good, good, good stuff. Think about all those people that have that sense of calm, that sense of purpose. Well, they built it. They earned it. They were aware of what needed to be done. They're not the ones getting distracted. They're the ones always booking off, saying, "Oh, I got to do this. I got to take care of that." Because they know what they got to do. So think about. I know some successful people. They have a good time, but they're always, the majority. 23 out of 24 hours. It's getting the job done, and they get to sleep at night. They're not worried about staying on the curb and so on and so forth, because they have made that life for themselves. And also, there's like 8 billion people in this world. That's a huge tapestry of humanity. There's lots of good people. And if you're hanging out with crummy people, all you're doing is not hanging out with good people. God's made so many people that it's incredible, man. So think about that. You're spending time with someone else. Someone means you're not spending time with someone else, okay? And there's lots of good people. You just create an increasing tapestry of meaningful friendships, rewarding friendships. And if there's some bad apples, they have to go by the wayside. You want to keep your apple basket full of good stuff, fresh apples, nutritious apples, so on and so forth. So, hey, what can you do, man? Well, a lot. That's what the whole thing was about, is what you can do. So, yeah, absolutely. And now, looking at the clock, we have about, oh my gosh, we have less than 1 minute to go. So, listeners, this crazed monologue was thanks to you, because without you, it could not have happened. Well, it could have happened, but it wouldn't keep happening for long, most certainly. So I hope your health is good. I hope, and if it is, consider yourself very fortunate. If you have your mental faculties, consider yourself very fortunate. And just please, please, please do yourself and your loved ones good. Be strong, man. At your weakest, become your strongest. Definitely. And take the minutes to consider this wonderful thing, as I will be considering listening to Honeybee while I do my work here to log in all my stuff for this show. So, we will be on at the same time next week on WXR WLP 104.1 FM Milwaukee. To hear past episodes, visit riverwestradio.com/shows and click Cinema Fireside.